Hello, I'm going to walk you through some steps with a sample topic, and we're going to assume for right now that I am a student. I've chosen two different topics to submit: Islamophobia and the fate of newspapers, print newspapers, or print journalism in these current times. And I decide I'm going to go with the dying newspapers topic. And so I will walk you through those steps. Okay, so first what we're going to do is get into off of the computer and into the library, and we're going to go to the module. I have two sections, so I'll just go in there, one of them. So I'm going into the learning module section, and I go into module 2, and it opens up, and I see that I'm going to have these 3 activities, and I need to come up with a variety of keywords. All right, I read the assignment for the writing notes, some of which I understand, some of which I don't understand as well, but I'm working my way through. So with the keywords, I make some attempt at that, and I come up with lists like newspapers, print journalism, journalists, dying, disappearing, vanishing, obsolete, a variety of words like that. And so I do this 2-4 activity. I believe that's worth 10 points. And then I find out a bit about opposing viewpoints, and then I'm going to go onto that page. And this tells me that I can access opposing viewpoints database through here, but you can also do it easily through online student services at the bottom here, Shapiro Library, and then A to Z databases, or any access to the databases, because it's listed under O. So let's just say I go there, and I'm going to click to access opposing viewpoints. Let's assume I've watched the video originally. Now what I'm going to do is type in journalism here, okay, because it's just the generic thing. And so I get this overview, and I think that's probably a good thing to use. It turns out later on that it's not, but I'll click View More, and then what I do is I'll print this page out because it has a citation at the bottom, and this section talks about how government really it's not going to be successful to have the government subsidize newspapers. That's essentially an overview. That's not necessarily one viewpoint. Now, if you were to go back, hit the back button, to be honest, this is a little bit more applicable. In fact, newspapers might even be a little bit more applicable, especially since it has these pro-con viewpoints right here. And so I can get my opposite viewpoint here as well. In fact, if I click on viewpoints here for 742, that's how many I can get, as you can see over here. And 425 of them are academic journals, which is what you want. So let's just say I picked that overview and I use it as a resource. Okay, we get that one. Let's say I print one of these out too. Every time I print something, let's just say I print this, I don't just go to save, but I'm going to read through it, and it has a further readings here. And what happens is people have actually pre-digested this, And this was originally written for a book of collected readings on this issue, opposing viewpoints in context about our newspapers becoming extinct, okay? And this is the opposite viewpoint. So it was sort of a case book in a way. And so then I'm going to go back to my module 2 here, and I'm going to point out that the Opposing Viewpoints database has a lot of pre-digested material that maybe make it easier for you to find pro and con articles, but to get the real scholarly articles that are not pre-digested, it's probably more appropriate to go to the Academic Search Complete. Now, Academic Search Complete is a type of EBSCOhost database. It's just one of the many that they have. So I can use Academic Search Complete. It's got different disciplines within it, but make a little note, EBSCOhost database. You can go onto E, and do you see where it has all these icons too? This is the main site of the EBSCOhost databases, and it'll show you all these databases, and you don't want to necessarily look through them all, but you can see that there are many. You can click on a variety of them: Business Source Complete, Communication and Mass Media Complete. In fact, I'm going to search that one, and it's like very similar to Academic Search Complete. It just focuses a little bit more so on communication and mass media. So I'm going to choose now Advanced Search, and I'm going to type in some of my keywords. This is where they come in handy. Okay, so we have newspapers, and then the next section I'm going to put maybe disappearing. See what we come up with. I've got 20 of them, and see, because I've isolated that particular database, it's more appropriate. And so this one is a little bit more detailed, but this disappearing reader, let's look at this. Okay, it focuses on the decline of newspaper readership. In fact, it's from Newspaper Research Journal, so it's a scholarly article. It was written it's written by a professor, and it is a little old. It's already 13 years old, but it still says what I wanted to say. I could find something more recent, but this will tell me some of the basics and give me facts and so forth. Now, any of these scholarly articles that you read may be a little tough to figure out, but what you want to do is focus a little bit more on the conclusions section, because that's where it tells you really what they were talking about in there. That and the section, I believe it's marked, under results and discussion generally, okay? Now, to get all the details for citation, you can click on Detailed Record. Yeah. And if you want to know how to cite it, you can click on this, and you can decide to save the APA version and copy and paste this, or the MLA version, you can copy and paste this. Okay, so that's one article. Let's see, clear this and see what else we can come up with. And then we have journalism, saving newspapers, saving community journalism. That's probably a pretty good one. but it doesn't have a PDF, which I like a little better. That's probably a pretty good one. And it's 2014, so it might be a little bit better. So, let's see. Oh, yeah. Let me show you the difference in the order. You get a different set. That was 166. Okay, same thing, but oh, and let's say I'm using the Academic Search Complete one, and I choose Saving in Journalism, and I get 316. So there's a bit more there. And so this one's a short one-page article, so I'm going to choose that. And it's not a scholarly journal, but it's a substantive magazine called Nation. Even though it is conservative, it's still respectable to some extent. And so I print this out. It's a one-pager. So it's short to read. Okay, because it's got an author, and that's helpful. So I save the information on these different ones, and that's going to be very helpful. Now, I also want to suggest that you can use different databases than the EBSCOhost ones, and these give you different kinds of databases, but the A to Z list can tell you even more. In fact, if you just go to the library main page and you get that list A to Z, then you end up looking at these things, and I'll give you a short list of different ones that can be used in alternately to Academic Search Complete as well, like JSTOR, Sage Premier, ProQuest, and Emerald Journals, and LexisNexis, and even TED Talks are acceptable because they're pretty good. So there are various ones. I will go ahead and list those. Now, let me back out and let's go to this. And what happens next? Okay, so this is the opposing viewpoints activity. I'll just say I found these at least 3 citations and using these terms, and then I click submit, and then I get, it shows up in the notebook eventually, and or as soon as you click submit. And if you were to look it up in the notebook, then you could actually copy something and if you had to submit it. But this just sends it to the module 2, which then records the grade for 10 points. Okay, so then you still haven't, we haven't gone to do the 2-2 assignment, which is the writing notes. And this is a little harder to deal with. So at the beginning of the module, it might fit better at the end, actually. And so these are some questions. What you want to do is say, newspapers are dying because of the influence of the internet, or something like that. And make your statement. And then make your key points. For example, one key point might be because the general literacy levels are declining. Another one is that younger people don't read the long form as much. Another one might be that the digital media is taking over where print journalism, actually played the role. Okay, then I choose my audience, and I might say other people who are interested in newspapers would be interested to know about this, or even people who might be interested in or don't like journalism. But that's not as useful, I don't think. I think it would probably be people who, other journalism majors or something, or even older people. And the goal I want is for them to realize that it may or may not be dying, but there are different ways that it can be transformed. Number 5, potential resources that I will cut and paste the citations that I just saved. So basically, I'm going to, let's see, I had saved them here. Oops. Where is it? Yeah. I already have pre-written them. So let's say I'm saving them, and I've got my resources there. I'll list them a little bit more like that. And then let's see. I actually got 4 of them. May not have showed all 4 of them to you. I found a bunch more, but we won't go nuts. And so we've got 4 sources there. Now, what's this supporting resources? This one is a little bit tougher. So basically, those key points where people are, that I just told you, I might put, here we go. On this one, I'm going to refer to the author's last name. And so for that first key point that I haven't actually put anything in, then I got a second key point. I've got a third article. Basically, 1 article supports key point 2 and 3, and 3 articles support key point 1. So that tells me I might need to get a little bit different sources to get a little bit more to support 2 and 3. So that's one reason why you're doing this. So, and then you might want to think, okay, what does integrating evidence mean? What that means is you want to decide, you want to think about, okay, here are my key points and the sources that they prop up, or not, that's the other way around, and the sources that prop up the key points. The number 7 has to do with which order would they best go in. So let's just say I might bring up key point 3, then I might bring up key point 2 in the middle, and then leave key point 3 for the end, and maybe even change that. And then I'd submit this whole thing. Let's say the entire thing is done, and then I would grab the information in the notebook, copy that, and then go out of this into the Blackboard shell to submit my assignment. And that's how you would accomplish this. Okay?